After a few weeks of shying away from media attention in the wake of his removal as national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole last week emerged from his self-imposed hiatus swinging again, addressing a group of supporters at his hometown of Ize-Iyamu in Edo State. Mr. Oshiomhole once again laid into his former political godson or ally, Governor Godwin Obaseki, now the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, calling him a snake at Government House in Benin, and once again swore to ensure that his defeat in the forthcoming governorship election will be totally humiliating. He apologized to citizens of the state for imposing on them what he called an MOU governor in 2016 and pledged to make amends, by this time working for the victory of man of God, Pastor Osage Ize-Iyamu, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress. For a reaction to that passionate outburst and other aspects of preparations for the September 19 election, we are now being joined by Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State and Director of Communication for the re-election campaign of the governor. Welcome to the program, Don Obaseki. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good
to have you. Well, you have somebody who is from Edo State like you here, and who is an interested party. I'll ask her to go first.
Thank you very much.
It's your state matter.
Very thoughtful of you, Dr. Batu. It's my constituency.
Your constituency.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us this morning. And straight to it, let me just quote from that very long speech from Governor Adams Oshiomhole. Part of it, and it reads, "I have made a mistake by supporting a man who has no vision for my people. So I want to correct my mistake." Let me end there and ask you what you have to say to this. One, as an aspirant in that election in 2016, even though you eventually withdrew from the race. Secondly, as an indigene of Edo State. And thirdly, as one who is handling the campaign for the re-election of Governor Godwin Obaseki.
Adesuwa, good morning. And it's recognized that my sister is wearing the same, we are dressed in the same color scheme. Maybe. Maybe there are so many apologies that the comrade will still have to reel out. I actually thought, that after what has transpired in the last, particularly in the month of June, he should have sat back and truly do some sort of self-introspection. Here is a man who, from the whole thing that happened, Godwin did not remove Adams Oshiomhole from office. God did. Godwin did not suspend Adams Oshiomhole. God did. And it is also instructed that on every day that he made every move to make sure Godwin doesn't run, it brought Godwin closer to the ticket and took Oshiomhole further away from his position as a national leader and the national chairman of the party. When I heard and listened to him speak, what came to my mind was tragic. It was hubristic, tragic pride. And I still feel that has been something that I don't want to, now I'm very biased because I'm meant to communicate and do strategy for my brother. But I have to be biased now. But in spite of that bias, what Mr. Adams Oshiomhole spoke about or talked about was full of so much fallacies, and I feel very sorry for him. I thought after all the things he had gone through, looking how God had used the hand of God to shave him away from the people of Edo State, he would have sat down and actually calibrate his position within the scheme of things in our state. Oshiomhole that used to come into Edo State with the pomp and pageantry of a Pompey had to sneak. I told you in the last time I was on this program that Oshiomhole will now have to sneak into Edo State on the back of an Okada. But I did not know that he will sneak on the back of an Okada at night. He got into Edo State at night. So a man who came up with so much trumpeting is now entering Edo State in a whimper. Be that as it may, you said man of God. I laughed. The videos of Mr. Adams Oshiomhole throwing all sorts of unprintable vituperations, unprintable things against this same person. You know, there's the entire media space. So who is lying? Is it Oshiomhole? Or those of us who have been listening to him all this while? So I have nothing to say over that. I just say that what Oshiomhole is now involved in is supposed to be a self-introspection, a cleansing of himself. But unfortunately, it seems his new return, albeit into this space, is going to be inundated with a lot of mudslings. And he's sitting right under the fan as the shit hits. That being as it may, in Edo State, we are very poised to return the governor of the people, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, back to Sadebe Avenue. And absolutely not 1,000 Adams Oshiomhole and all the litany of shenanigans that he parades will not stop the people of Edo State from returning a man who he once told us was the saint, rather than return a man he once told us was a lesser version of the devil. That is exactly how it is. And that is how this is panning out.
All right.
Yes,
okay.
Rufai, go ahead.
I just want to ask you two questions. Number one will be, but you were close to Ize-Iyamu at some point. What happened? Is it because you are not doing strategy for him? That's why you're saying all of this. And secondly, hold on. And secondly, is it true that you had something called a simple agenda that has been plagiarized now by Ize-Iyamu? Can you talk us through that? Because these are very strong allegations. And let me tell you how strong these allegations are. In 1988, Joe Biden, that is running for president today in America, quoted a British Labour Party chief called Neil Kinnock.
Yes.
And he didn't give credence to Neil Kinnock in that quote. And because of that, when the pressure was much, Joe Biden had to drop out of the 1988 nomination race, presidential nomination race, which finally led to Michael Dukakis getting the nomination just because of plagiarism. So that's why I'm asking this question, just to put a context around it.
The reason I've been quiet over this was that, one, I personally campaigned with Ize-Iyamu in the last election, and Ize-Iyamu also used the simple. I don't want to begin to the public domain. The only thing that caught up with them there, outside of plagiarism, is also simple, low-level propaganda. I know about the one about Neil Kinnock, Joe Biden, and Governor Michael Dukakis. But in this case, I want to state it categorically that Mr. Ize-Iyamu launched his first simple agenda in July 2016. I launched mine in the UK on the 31st of July 2015. I only kept quiet because I did not, the one said on one of these programs that I did not register it with the Copyright Commission. But that is not the point. His simple agenda, I hear his simple agenda. I am assuming that maybe it is just nobody has the monopoly of ideas. But it is clear in the public domain that Pedro Obaseki launched his simple agenda almost a year before Mr. Ize-Iyamu talked about it in the public space. That be that, I think it just throws more light into this whole fight. A man who Adams Oshiomhole told us was a thief. He didn't say it, I didn't say it, I'm quoting him. A man who Adams Oshiomhole bounced from stage to stage screaming that EFCC is waiting for you. Until today, the EFCC is still after him. I think the last hearing was just last week. A man who is said was not to be trusted. a man who he said he had to lock out from touching the treasury, in spite of the fact that the man was the director general of his own campaign.
Don Pedro, you were once friends with this man. You campaigned with him, like you stated just now. That means you had endorsed the same man. You're trying to malign his character at some point. Come clean with us, Don Pedro, on this. What changed?
Don't be a... I did not say anything now. I'm just saying this issue is about Oshiomhole. You asked me a question, and I'm quoting what Oshiomhole said.
Okay.
I did not say the man. I said the man whom Oshiomhole said. Is there a problem with that?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Now, listen carefully, sir. Let me say this clearly. In 2016, all of us were running for a vacant position. In 2016, none of us had written any exam. We were vying to do that. In 2020, there has been a seismic paradigm shift. It is notable, we must understand this, that Godwin Obaseki is working in Benin, and we are seeing it. I am not a politician who is just a politician simply because he wants to politic. I have never held any public office. I have never held a public position. I am convinced about my beliefs. I am convinced that we must move my people forward. So if I see a man who is doing that, when I was opposing him in 2016, he was my elder brother, and that has not changed today. So I am not supporting him now because he is my elder brother all of a sudden. But I have seen on ground that the things I wanted to do for my people is being done by someone even to greater proportion. So what will now make me not support him? It is about the people. The people must be the recurring decimal in everything that has to do with Edo. I am not PDP or APC before I am EDO. That is pushing me. On the other hand, let me look at this again. Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, everybody knows, first Godwin on its only singular blessing he gave to our people. Today, our people all over the world are screaming for the retention of this person. And we all know what transpired that led to the today we are now facing in Edo State. What led to it is simple. Godwin has refused to pander to the whim and caprice of the few men locked behind the sanctuary of their loved one, wanting to flip away our commonwealth. That is what the problem is. So if I believe people, if I believe it is about the people, if I believe it is for the people, I will not tie myself to the April things of persons who want to change that arithmetic. It is noteworthy that everybody that was against Godwin in 2016, those core groups, are now the ones fighting for Godwin, because the Godwin we see was not the Godwin we expected. At
well, Don Pedro.
Time he was more or less for Pastor Ize-Iyamu. We know him. And knowing these two people, there is no need putting any of them on the scale. We know where the scale tips.
Well, Don Pedro, just by way of clarification, you said that Comrade Adams Oshiomhole snaked into town at night, Nicodemously. But what we know is that despite the fact that he arrived at night, there was a large crowd that received him. And later in Ize-Iyamu, in his village, he had what looked like a mini rally that was very well attended. That doesn't look like, the spectacle of a personality that had been rejected by the people. You may want to comment on that. Second, I would like you to comment on the characterization of Godwin Obaseki by Comrade Oshiomhole. He described him as a snake in government house. That's a bit intriguing for those of us who are not from Edo State. And he called him an MOU governor. Well, I think it was good. He didn't say IOU governor, but he said MOU. Are you aware of any memorandum of understanding between the two personalities?
What he meant by MOU, let me start with that. What he meant by MOU, because they are not used to Godwin's style of administration, he is the man involved in Jabberwocky. So every contract, every project in Benin, he signs a memorandum of understanding the way you would do in a business environment. So, and that is what the Agberos, whom Mr. Adams Oshiomhole seemed to champion, don't seem to want. And that education will be done. On the other hand, he said Godwin is a snake. Well, the last time he spoke about Godwin at the turn of the year, he said Godwin was a mosquito. And he has graduated him now to a snake. I think the bites of the in Mr. Adams from his vaulted office as APC chairman into a common citizen like myself, Ruben, Rufai, and Adesua. And that is a show that man is like peripety, reversal of fortune, and it can happen to anybody at any one point in time. On the other hand, he now says Godwin is a snake. Thank God, a snake. And I laughed. Maybe the bite of this snake may send him into final political retirement and oblivion. The people of Edo State are all snakes waiting to bite those who want to kill us. The people of Edo State are mosquitoes waiting to inflate untold malaria on those who want to kill us. Whatever form of animal description they want to use. September 9 will be a watershed, and that is why all this is happening. Let me quickly start by saying that the crowd, rent a crowd is okay, even though a lot of irresponsibility in terms of the COVID-19 protocols. That is okay. Ize-Iyamu is a little town somewhere in the north of Edo State, and having him have his people surround him in his space, I don't see anything wrong with that. We have not seen the governor yet. We've not seen the crowds yet. The crowd that matter is not the few renter crowd that is kept in Ize-Iyamu, but in Benin City. And I don't think the crowd that received Mr. Adams Oshiomhole is analytics. You can see that all Edo persons from every, whether at home or abroad, are solidly behind the candidacy of the governor, who they see him as someone who is a new broom that has come to make Edo great again. We actually call it the mega agenda, making Edo great again. And that seems to be the thrust of Mr. Godwin Obaseki. I pray that this campaign will not be left on the dung heap of mudslinging. I pray that this campaign will be based on what was said to be done, what has been done, and the things that are showcased by every Edo person who have decided to support our wake, they call it wake up and see governor. And that is what we should be talking about. I feel that the entrance of Mr. Adams Oshiomhole 2 nights ago is actually part of the huge conspiracy of distractions, so as to reduce or limit the capacity of the governor to perform and work for our people. But in spite of that, the governor has emerged dignified, better off each and every time there is a confrontation between him and Mr. Adams Oshiomhole. This is a man who just a few days before he was disgraced, first by the courts and later by his own people in their NEC, that serve as the Supreme Court to legislate. I don't want to insult anybody. I'm trying to be civil. But he's turning out to be an entity who is looking for paid and earned media space. That should not happen. If I was his son, if I was his advisor, I would tell him to take a hiatus, a longer one than this short one he has just taken. Recalibrate himself and find a way to appease the people of the state for whom he has become their primal opponent, who has decided to take away from Edo people a governor that he said he forced on our people. We love the force. We won't let him force him out. That is the truth.
Well, very quickly, like you have just pointed out, Governor Obaseki was not the popular candidate in 2016. However, you seem confident that he's now the popular candidate to retain office. But the dust doesn't seem to have settled as we are having dissenting voices within and outside the PDP about his emergence as the candidate for the elections. Are you confident that he will scale through?
This one, who are the dissenting voices?
For instance, you have Kasim Afegwa. For instance, you have some senior advocates of Nigeria who have gone to the court.
No. A senior advocate of Nigeria was higher. A senior advocate of Nigeria is a paid lawyer. Mr. Kasim Afegwa is my very close friend. Kasim cannot say he is a PDP chieftain. Chieftain of which PDP? Kasim Afegwa's biggest CV in the public domain is as the spokesperson of Ibrahim Babangida, which he is unapologetic about. And then for the 8 years of Adams Oshiomhole, 8 years of Adams Oshiomhole, for the Kasim was a media advisor to Adams. And in the last 4 years of Adams, media and communication. What do you expect?
Now, do you want to respond to the point, because what Adesua brought up, there is also this fact that is in the public domain that some members of the PDP have gone to court and they've briefed some senior advocates of Nigeria to stop the Obaseki Shaibu ticket as proposed. Do you want to shed some light on that?
Yes, sir. I am not aware they are members of the PDP. That is what I'm saying.
I see. Because
the first time I, as a person, saw that court case, it was sent to a WhatsApp group where we are in by Eyogi Westidausa, a former House of Assembly member, a lawyer, is actually...
But, you know, we also understand that some members of the PDP have defected to the APC in protest against the emergence of Godwin Obaseki and Shaibu. Are you aware of that?
That is not in the public domain. Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, but stay with us.
The mass defections... of course,
stay with us. Hold on a while. Let's listen to some of these decampees that I'm referring to, and then you will have a chance to react to it. Let's take that thought.
I've chosen to work with the APC candidate, governorship candidate, with my followers to deliver my party. So my resignation is confirmed and authentic.
So I'm coming out officially to declare my full support to our candidate, Pastor Ize-Iyamu, by the special grace of God, the next governor of Edo State. His agenda, he has a program. He has a program for everybody in the state. The current governor has no program, but he has a program, and we have all seen the program. Simple agenda. So for that reason, I believe my party, we will deliver my party come September 19th, 2020.
Anyway, I'm sorry we can't go back to Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki because we're already out of time. But that's the video there showing that there are also persons in the PDP crossing to the Edo APC.